All right, well, welcome everyone. It's Sam Ovens here, and welcome to the Consulting Accelerator live coaching call. And today is Thursday, May 26, 2016. So on this call today, I'm going to show you how these calls are going to work and why I want to do them and how they're going to work moving forward and how you can use these calls to, to improve your results and your progress. And I'm also going to introduce you to two coaches which I'm bringing on to help all of you guys out. So I've had a lot of students, and what I did is I found some successful students that I've had, like people who have been through my program, thoroughly understand all of the stuff which we teach, and not only understand it, but have actually put it to work in the real world and got results and grown successful consulting businesses. And so I went through like all of my previous students, and I thought long and hard about who I should bring on. And so I'm going to introduce you to the two coaches today on this call. They're live on this call as well. I'm going to introduce them to you in just a moment. And for the first couple of calls, I'm thinking maybe it's the first two or the first three. I'm going to be live on these calls with them just to introduce them and make sure things run smoothly. And then after that, the coaches are going to handle these calls on their own. And they're going to be running these calls every week for you guys so that they can help you out. So I'm really excited about introducing this to the program. I haven't done anything like this before, and I really think that this is going to add a whole new level and a whole new layer of results to this training program. I mean, this program on its own has generated people a ton of results, but now that we're introducing like a live support element and a live coaching element to it, I can only see things getting exponentially better. So it's an awesome time to be in this program, and I'm looking forward to sharing this stuff with you guys. So what are these live calls all about? Let me explain what these things are, how they're going to work, and how you can get the most out of them. So to help you guys throughout this program, I decided to pay some of my successful students to come on as coaches. So these guys, they really know what they're doing, they're successful, and I'm paying them to help you guys out. And so each week, I decided we're going to hold two calls. So every single week, two calls where you guys can go to get help. And these calls are going to be on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is New York time. So wherever you are in the world, you just want to type into Google, what is the time in New York? And it will tell you. This is Eastern time, and we're always running on Eastern time. And so these are Monday at 7 and Fridays at 12. And to see when the next call is happening, here's what you do. You go to the Facebook group and you look at the events. So if I'm in in the Facebook group here, you can see it says events across the top. You want to click on that, and you can see that it says when the next event is. So you can see this one today at 4 p.m. So if you click on this, you can see the link to join, and you can register for the call and then show up and attend. So this week only, we're not running on the schedule. I mean, usually we're going to be Mondays at 7 and Fridays at 12, but for this week, we're just doing one random call which is today. So we're not doing one tomorrow. The next call is going to be on next week on Monday. So that's how it's going to work. And like I said, to see when these calls are happening, just click on the events tab. And then all of these calls are optional. Like, you don't have to attend these calls, and there's not really any training in these calls. Like, I'm not going to be releasing new content and introducing all of this new stuff on these calls. These calls are here for support and for questions and answers. So don't stress out that you need to attend these or attend all of them. That's not necessary at all. If you have a question, or if you're wanting some motivation and stuff, these calls are an awesome place to go, but they're totally optional. And all of these calls will be recorded. So don't stress out if you miss them. So this call today is being recorded, and as I say that, I better just double check. good. Always get scared when I say it's being recorded and I'm not 100% sure. So this call is being recorded, and what we'll do is 1 hour after the call ends, I will post the recording. And where the recording will be posted is in the Facebook group again, under events. I'm just going to update the event and put the link to the recording in there. And to see the recordings, you'll just have to click on settings and then past events, and you'll be able to see the recordings. So really simple system, not too hard to figure out, not too hard to remember. It's just Mondays at 7, Fridays at 12, and the Facebook group is always going to have the most up-to-date information. So that's what these calls are all about. And because I'm doing this for you guys, there are some very important house rules. So first of all, these calls are for help with the training material only. And general customer support questions are not for these calls. So if you've lost your login, if you need to update your card, if you need to do all of these random things, those aren't the questions for these calls. These calls are for training material questions only. So like, I need help with Facebook, I need help with sales, I need help picking my niche, I need help with mindset, I need help with all of these different things. Totally fine for these calls. Those are the questions we want to see. Those are the questions which we want to answer. But absolutely no customer support questions because my coaches don't have access to my systems. They can't even help you if they want to. So you need to send an email to my customer support team, which is support@samovens.com. That team has access to help you out with that stuff. And we're also going to get a lot of people live on these calls. I can see we've got like 125 people on right now. We'll probably get up to 150 or 200 people at the peak today, and that's quite a lot of people to have on these calls. So when we take questions from you guys, please bear with us, as it may take some time to get your question and there's a chance that we might not even get to your question at all. I hope that doesn't happen, but there is a chance that that might happen. And if that's the case, then just ask your question in the Facebook group and we'll help you out there. And if you ask your question and we're not answering it, please just don't ask your question again. Don't spam the questions feed. Some people go real crazy, like they just keep posting their question again and again and again. That's not welcome here. And if anyone messes with any of these rules, we're not going to give warnings or anything. We're just going to straight up ban you, and there will be no warnings. I'm paying these coaches to come and do these things. I don't even have to do this. I want to do this to help the community. So, all I ask in return is for you guys to respect the rules and respect these coaches. And then if everyone's able to do that, these calls are going to keep running. They're going to keep running smoothly, and everyone's going to get a ton of valuable advice and support. So those are the rules. Now I want to introduce you to the coaches. So our first coach is Joshua Harris. And Josh is on the call with me now. How's it going, Josh? You unmute?
Going good, Sam.
Awesome. So Josh has been in my training programs for around 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. And he's been through a lot of my programs. He's seen my consulting business change and progress. He's seen all the different things that we've done along the way, and he's been through pretty much all the material that I've ever created. So he understands it very well. And Josh started from nothing, started from zero, just like a lot of people, and he grew his consulting business well into the 6 figures. And Josh understands all of this material extremely well. He's a current member in my mastermind, which is my highest level program, and he's always up to date, and he will be able to add massive value to this community. So that's our first coach, Josh. And our second coach is Jesse Clark. And Jesse's been in my programs for just as long, about 2 years, 2.5 years. And he's also a current member in my mastermind. And Jesse started from scratch, and he grew his consulting business well into the 6 figures as well. And Jesse also manages my own Facebook ads and campaigns. So I hired Jesse. I saw the stuff that he was doing. I thought it was good. And so I hired him, and he flew to New York, and he spent about 4 or 5 weeks at my place, just learning from me, learning everything about the business, learning how to do strategy sessions. And now he's managing my Facebook ads and strategy sessions. So I trust him with my stuff, and he's also been through all my programs. So I trust him to help this community as well. And Jesse's on the call with me right now as well. How's it going, Jesse?
Going great.
Awesome. And Jesse's from Canada, so he's got a Canadian accent. And Joshua's from America. Where are you in America, Josh?
Michigan.
Michigan. Awesome. So those are the coaches, and they're in the Facebook group, and they're in the Facebook group. So when you're probably going to notice, they're going to be replying and commenting on your posts as well. So when you post a question in the Facebook group, if you see either Jesse or Joshua respond, you know that there's some of the coaches in the program. So those are the 2 coaches which I'm introducing now, and I may end up introducing more. It totally depends how things go. I mean, this is the first. This is kind of a running experiment, really. I mean, this is the first call like this I've ever done, and this is the first time I've introduced coaches. So hopefully things will all run well, and this will end up being adding a whole new wave of results to everyone in this program. So here's how to get help from the coaches moving forward. So our coaches have real businesses to run day to day. They're not full-time coaches coaching people in my program. And I thought long and hard about this. I was like, do I find some people and then just make them do this full-time? Or do I find actual entrepreneurs who are running their own business and get them to do this part-time? And the problem with getting just full-time coaches to just do this is that they're not as good, because in order to be really good at helping people, you actually have to be doing it yourself, so that you can keep your finger on the pulse and you can really keep your teeth sharp. And so I decided to go with coaches or consultants who already are running their own businesses and still continue to run their own businesses, so that they're always going to be up to date. So because these guys are running their own businesses at the same time, we need to stick to these rules for support. So first of all, don't private message the coaches. There's far too many people in our program for private messages. If you need help, you need to ask in the Facebook group or on these weekly calls. And if you're asking a question in the Facebook group, you can tag them. You can go at Joshua Harris or at Jesse Clark. Very simple. And do not request one-on-one help from the coaches. You must ask your questions in the Facebook group or on the weekly coaching calls. Don't private message them and be like, hey, can we get on Skype for an hour? It's just, that can't happen. This is a group environment. You have to ask your questions in the Facebook group or on these calls. And I know there's quite a bit of rules and everything, but I'm just trying to set the expectations up front so that this all runs smoothly. So is everyone all right with these rules? Just let me know in the questions box. Perfect. Cool. Everyone seems good with it. Just wanted to make sure because I want things to run smoothly. And if either of the coaches just get bombarded with messages, they're going to call me and be like, dude, Sam, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit. And so we have to stick to these rules. So now a quick note from me. We're going to jump into some live Q&A and some live coaching in just a minute. But I just want to talk to you about some new content which is coming out over the next 7 days here. So I've been working really hard over the past 2 weeks making a ton of new content for you guys. So I've been scrolling through the Facebook group and seeing what people need help with, what people are struggling with. I've also been seeing how people have been getting success and what are they doing, which some of the other guys aren't doing, and really thinking, how can I make this experience better for everyone, and how can I really make sure that everyone has what they need to get some awesome results. So rolling out over the next 7 days, you're going to see a lot of new content come out inside the training portal. So one thing I noticed people need help with is structuring their offers. So they know their niche, they have an understanding of the problem, but they need help really structuring that offer, coming up with the price, and knowing how to explain it to their market. So I've got a detailed training coming out with an offer worksheet, so a worksheet which you can work through to make sure your offer's all dialed in, and that's going to be coming out in the next few days. And also, if you don't have a niche, so how this program's designed is you can join this program already having a niche. So you can come in and you're like, okay, I want to help people with yoga, or I want to help people lose weight, or I want to help people sitting their pilot's license. I want to help them. You could come into this with any niche, and this program shows you how to get clients in your niche. But if you come into this program and you don't have a niche and you can't think of one and you're really not sure what to do, then I've created something for you guys as well. So if you want my advice on what to do, if you totally can't think of a niche, well, my best recommendation is to just copy what I did when I got started. So I decided to start helping local businesses with digital marketing, and I've created a training which shows you guys exactly how you can do the same. It doesn't matter what your level of skill is. It doesn't matter what your background is or level of knowledge or anything. You can come into this completely brand new, and this training is going to show you how you can start selling digital marketing services to local businesses and how you can make quite a lot of money doing that. And I'm going to show you what to sell, the prices, how to actually deliver the services to the clients, and literally everything you need to start from scratch. So that's going to be awesome, because it means that people who already have their niche selected, they're going to be fine. But people who just can't pick their niche and they're really struggling, I'm going to have that in there so that they can start doing that themselves. I'm also going to put in some proven ways to get your first few clients quickly and for free. So there's an awesome way which isn't really covered in the training program, but I mentioned. This is what's cool about paying attention to your market. So people joined this program and they started going through the training, and then people also found some videos on my blog, and then they started watching those. And there was this one video which was like how I'd get started from scratch, how I'd get started from scratch if everything failed or something like that. And people started watching that video, and in that video I say, well, for my first client, I would do it for free in exchange for a testimonial and 3 referrals. And people started watching that video, and then they started actually doing that and it wasn't in the program, and they started getting clients. And a lot of people have used that method to get clients, and that's why you should pay attention to your market. It's not even in the program, but people went out and found it and started implementing it. And so that was a sure signal to me that needs to be a training module in the program. So I've created a training on how to get your first few high value clients quickly and for free. And I've also included some direct mail templates. So when I got started, I used direct mail quite a lot. The beauty of direct mail is that it's super cheap and it's super easy, very low tech, and it's extremely effective. And Jesse and Joshua Harris, they started with direct mail too, because that's all I used to teach. When I first got started in consulting, I didn't know anything about Facebook ads and appointment generating machines. I used to use direct mail only. And so when I was teaching Jesse and Josh, they were using direct mail too. It's extremely effective. All of my clients have used it. Even all the 7-figure ones have used direct mail too. And so I want to show you all the different methods I have for using direct mail, and that's going to be uploaded to the portal as well. And then finally, some mindset training. It's really important when you're going through a training to have your mindset right. You want to be confident in yourself, and you want to keep your head straight. And so I'm going to put a training in there all about mindset so that you can take full action throughout this program. So that's just some new content that's going to be released over the next 7 days. And it will sort of just be dripped out over the next few days. If you just keep looking back into your content portal, you'll notice that things are being added to it each day. There will be some new things added to it late tonight, and then it'll by the end of 7 days there will be a whole bunch of new stuff in there. And if you thought the training right now is good, I mean, you're in for a treat, because this stuff is really good. It's significantly better than what we currently have. So can't wait to share that stuff with you guys. So another thing I noticed as I was looking at the group is a lot of people still have some misconceptions about a consultant, or just the word consultant. So a lot of people were like, is what we're really doing consulting? It seems more like marketing, or it seems more like coaching, or what? I even saw a question. It was like, what's the difference between a coach and a consultant? And I think a lot of people have just a lot of attached meaning to the word consultant that isn't really true. And I want to clear that stuff up right now so that you can really get a clear picture of what a consultant is and what I mean by the term consultant. So this is the diagram. It's extremely simple, but it is super powerful. This is the diagram which I use to really describe a consultant. So a consultant is somebody who helps someone go from their current situation to their desired situation. So imagine anybody in the world. Right now, everyone has a current situation. Your current situation is what you are sitting with and what you are living with right this moment. That's your current situation. And the thing about human beings is that pretty much none of them are happy with that. They have complex brains, and they always want more. And what that means is people have their current situations, but there's always something else which they want. And that's called their desired situation. And this can be in any different field. This could be relationships. This could be health. This could be fitness. It could be their appearance. It could be their fashion. It could be their wardrobe which they're wearing. It could be their spirituality. It could be anything, or it could be to do with their personal finances, or it could be to do with their businesses. It could be to do with their business's marketing, their business's income. It could be to do with any different thing. My main point is that people always have this gap, and the gap is a businessman's. A gap is really heaven for a businessman. This is how you make money. So really good businessmen, they just see the gap between people's current situations and their desired situations. So they can see where someone is now, and they can see where they want to be, and then they're like, that's a big gap, and that person really wants that. And then they think, well, if I could provide the bridge in between that gap, then I could make a lot of money. And that really is what a consultant does. A consultant is someone who helps someone get from their current situation to their desired situation. And they do that with their consulting services. So this is my definition of a consultant. A consultant is an expert at helping somebody solve a specific problem and helping someone make a transformation. So the real key word is transformation. Like, what's the gap someone is going to make? And really where consultants excel is when they pick a specific transformation and they just become really good at that one thing. In consulting, you can't be good at helping people make 50 different transformations. It's impossible. You really want to focus on just one of them. So this is why we pick a niche, and this is why I stress the importance of picking a niche. You want to find out the problems that, like, plumbers have, for example. So back when I was getting started doing digital marketing for local businesses, I talked to a lot of plumbers, and I was like, hey, what do you guys really want? Like, what do you wish you could have? Like, if you could just wave a magic wand, what do you wish would your business would have more of? And I was just really trying to understand what they wanted, and they said that they wanted more hot water cylinder repair clients. And I was like, why do you want that? And they said that those clients, those customers pay the most, they're the most profitable. And I was like, wow, that's what they all want. Like, I talked to multiple of them. They wanted hot water cylinder repair clients. And so I was like, well, that's the transformation that they can help. Their current situation is that they're getting all sorts of clients, but random jobs like leaky taps or leaky sinks, which aren't worth much money, and they hate doing them. That's their current situation. But their desired situation is just having back-to-back hot water cylinder repair clients. And that's the beauty of picking a niche, first of all. And then that's the beauty of doing some market research and understanding the gap. And then once I figured that out, I started helping plumbers get hot water cylinder repair clients. And within about 3 or 4 months after that, pretty much every New Zealand plumbing company was my client. And a lot of them still are. And so that is the power of doing that. And that's the power of really understanding that gap. So just to make sure that you guys are understanding this, is this making sense? Perfect. And we're going to get to Q&A in just a minute, where the coaches where Jesse and Josh will be helping you out. I noticed that there was some confusion around these things, so I just wanted to jump on before we get into the Q&A and just explain this. And then, so you might be thinking, well, sure, everyone has a gap. Like, you're probably thinking of the gaps you have right now. I mean, I can think of gaps I have right now as well in all sorts of different things. And you're probably thinking, well, why wouldn't someone just do it themselves? Why would they pay a consultant? Why would they hire a consultant? And here's the big 3 reasons why people pay consultants. So here's the 3 reasons. Number 1 is an inability to get to their desired situation on their own. So someone might have a current situation and a desired situation, and they might try to do it on their own, but they keep falling over and they keep failing and they can't do it. And everyone gets to a point where they're just like, I need help. I can't do this on my own. I need someone to help. This could be with weight loss. It could be with muscle building, faith, spirituality, relationships, anything. That's the number 1 reason why, inability to get there on their own. Reason number 2, and this is a big one, is that they just want to get there faster. You know, like if you're in business and you need help with marketing, like, you could try and do it on your own, but most smart people are going to understand that it's going to be hard. It's going to take them a long time. To do anything by yourself is difficult. And if you want to know just how difficult it is, I mean, you know, if you were to try and repair something in your home, like, let's say that you had what's a good example? Let's say you had a blow-in, what's a good one that happened to me recently? Let's say you had like a blow-in element in your oven or your stove or something like that, and you're thinking, should I do it myself? You know, it's a very basic thing to do. You could probably go to Google, search some things up. You could probably order the part online, and you could probably try and do it yourself. But that's going to be very hard to do, and it's going to take a long time. And a lot of the time, when you try and do something yourself, it ends up taking 10 times longer than you thought. And then eventually, by the time you figure out that you can't do it, and then you end up hiring an expert anyway, and then they come in and their bill's more expensive because you made the problem worse. That's true about doing a lot of things yourself. And so a lot of people, the second reason why people want to hire consultants is that they want to get there faster. They don't want it to take a long time. They want the result quick. And that's reason number 2. And then reason number 3 is they just want a proven system and someone who has done it before. So those are the big 3 reasons why people hire consultants. So now I've shown you what a consultant is and the 3 reasons why people hire consultants. And I just want to quickly talk about the most important lesson that I've learned in business ever, and I don't think anything will ever top this one. This is still to this day the most powerful principle I've ever learned. And it's, this is why I failed, and this is why most other people fail. And this is really important to teach you guys. So people come up with ideas which they think are cool or which they think people might want. This is the big problem. They think, oh, I think people might want this. And they base that purely off their own thoughts. They haven't talked to anyone. And they think, oh, this might be cool, and this might be, people might think this is cool. When you do that, things usually don't work out. And people also think about things which have never been done before, or how to imitate something and give it a unique twist. Or they just blindly follow their passion without connecting it to the market's needs. And here's the problem with all of this stuff. It's all about you. And whenever you make business all about you, it doesn't work. And then one day, I had followed this path. I had started my own companies and they all failed. And it's because I came up with things which I thought people wanted. And then I went out to talk to the people. I showed them what I had, and they were like, I don't really need this. And I was like, well, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep coming up with ideas that I think are cool, but people don't want? And then one day I was reading a book, and this is the most powerful sentence I've ever read. And it says, let's get to the heart of the matter. The power, the force, and the overwhelming urge that makes advertising work comes from the market itself and not from the copy. And by copy, it means, advertising. Copy cannot create desire for a product. It can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exists in the hearts of millions and focus those onto a particular product. And it says it's the copywriter's task not to create this mass desire, but to channel it and direct it. And when I read this, I was like, damn, I've been doing it all wrong. I've been creating these products and then trying to create demand for them. I'd create this product and then I'd go out to the market and be like, hey, do you guys want this? And they were like, no. And then I'd be like, well, let me tell you why you should want this. If you ever catch yourself doing that, it doesn't matter how much money you have, your business is gone. Even if you had $1 billion, you're still not going to make that work. You can't force the market. You can't go against the market. And it's a huge lesson. It's true in stocks and investing. It's true in marketing. You can never fight the market. And that's what most people try and do. They come up with something and then they go try fight it. And what you really need to do is look to the market first, find out what they want, and then just give it to them. It's so simple. And in more simple terms, most people come up with things they think people will need, and then they try to convince them that they need it. And this is a recipe for failure. And what you want to do is you want to find out what people actually need and then give it to them. And that's the recipe for success. And that's exactly how I've designed my consulting business and how I show you guys how to run your consulting businesses. This gap here comes from the market. We don't engineer this gap. We just find it present in the market. So we find a niche, we look into that niche and we're like, what do they want? What's the gap? We figure that out and then we sell it to them. Real simple. And in this program, you can come up with your own, or you can come up with your own. So you can join this program and think, I want to help people with spirituality. I want to help people with health and fitness. I want to help people with fashion design. You can absolutely do that. And you can join this program and everything will still work for you. Or you can just copy what I did when I got started, and that was doing digital marketing. And like I said a bit earlier, there's going to be a full training coming out in the next few days on how to do that for yourself. So is this stuff helpful for you guys? Just explaining these concepts and stuff? Lots of people said super clear. It was not this clear. This probably took a good few thousand hours of thought to get it this clear. So that's why, like, I always can tell when I've got something right when it's super simple, and this stuff really is so powerful. Like, don't dismiss it just because it looks basic. I mean, if you understand these principles and if you can identify a gap in the marketplace like that and then sell it, I mean, you're going to make a lot of money, and you're really going to fly with this. So that's what I just wanted to start the call off with. I just wanted to introduce you to our coaches. I also wanted to talk about the rules moving forward. And I also wanted to tell you about the new content coming out and what was the other thing? And just give you a quick training on, on what a consultant really is and all of that stuff. So now what I want to do is let's do some questions and answers with the coaches. So we've got Jesse and we've got Joshua there on the call. And so you guys are welcome to look through the questions now and spot any which you might want to answer.
Okay, there's a lot of questions that have come through. Do you want me to go back to the beginning, some of the first ones, or do we want to have people get on and ask them?
I think we won't start from the very beginning because I was asking people, was this good and stuff, and people were just giving a ton of yeses. So probably just the recent ones coming through.
Okay. I'm going to take we'll take a quick one here. So Michael Curse is asking about the daily budget, determine how many clicks I get. And so from your question there, what I'm getting at is you're referring to Facebook. And so what you want to reverse, really the answer here is you want to reverse engineer your goals, which is in the training. So you want to know how many strategy sessions you need to do per month, per week, right, in order to hit your sales targets. So like Sam talks about in the training, you'll hit probably 1 in 3 to 1 in 5 sales calls to convert into a client. So for every 5 people you speak to, 1 will become a client. So you need to do, figure out how many clients you want to get per month. Then you need to figure out how many strategy sessions to do. And then with that, you need to figure out how many opt-ins or leads, people that opt in for your VSL. And with that, you need to figure out how many clicks you're going to get. So to answer your question, yes, the daily budget does determine how many clicks you're going to get, but you want to make sure you start from the very end objective that you have, which is how many new clients per month do I want? And then you can work the numbers back to what your daily budget needs to be to get to that. Now, you don't want to start with, let's say you need to spend $200 a day to hit that. You don't want to start with that because, when you're testing an ad, testing an audience at first, it's too much. You want to start with $5 a day or $10 a day. But to answer your question, that's really, that's where you want to start. Cool. Then after that, Daniel Houston, you've got a question here. You said, how can you get your clicks to the website and CPC costs down? So this is obviously a question a lot of people have is why is my cost per click high? So there's 2 main things that determine your cost per click. And it's basically, number 1, how competitive that audience is. So the number of people that are trying to show ads to that audience will influence the cost per click that you're going to pay. The second thing you're going to have that influences it is the relevancy of your ad. And that's determined by how often your ad is being interacted with relative to the other individuals that are trying to advertise to that same audience. So the best way to lower your cost per click, since you can't do anything about other competitors' advertising, is to work on improving the relevancy of your ad. And that is determined basically through 2 metrics. The main one is your click-through ratio.
and then the other one is going to be the relevancy that you see on your ad. So what you want to do is test different images and different angles in the ads until you find one that will lower your cost per click. So the more angles you test, the more you're going to be able to get some different insights, and you're going to find a different angle or a different image that gets a lower cost per click. So that's what I found to be the best way to lower your cost per click on that.
Nice. And for guys who are just new to this training, like, one thing you're going to notice coming through this training is that people are at different points. So, and you'll notice some of the questions you might think, well, what is that all about? Like if you've just started this program like yesterday or today or something, and you're trying to pick your niche, and then you hear questions about Facebook ads and cost per click and cost per lead, and sometimes that stuff can be a bit confusing. Don't worry about that stuff until you get to it. So in the beginning, the only things you need to worry about is just picking your niche and getting your offer, and then you can use some offline methods to get your first few clients, and then eventually you'll get through to the Facebook training stuff. And in there, we talk about, how to use Facebook ads. And so you might be hearing people ask questions about Facebook, and even me sitting here, I'm like, man, these are some technical questions. So don't worry about that. Don't stress about it. It's just, it's part of what we do is setting up Facebook ads, and that'll come at a later point in the training. I'm just going to do a quick one here because I've been going through too. And so Andrew Berry says, I've been having paralysis by analysis. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that. I want to target small, medium-sized gyms and help them get members, but I fear that this niche can't afford my services. Noticing that the average gym owner makes 50 grand a year, what advice would you give? Good question. So, first of all, these gym owners will be spending their money on things. Like, even people who don't have much money still spend money on something. Like, you'll notice that a guy who makes 50 grand a year sometimes has a $50,000 car or a $50,000 home entertainment system. Or they have, everyone has their thing which they spend money on and care about. And really, it's never a case of someone not having the money. Well, this is what I've found. It's never a case of that. It's just a case of whether someone thinks it's important enough. If something's important enough, someone will find the money. Like if I was to sell you a winning $1 million lottery ticket for 50 grand, you'd find that 50 grand and you'd buy it. So, that's an extreme example, but it shows you that quite often we think people don't have the money, but when the problem that we're solving is important enough, they will find a way. And I can tell you that even a gym making 50 grand a year, when it comes to getting more clients, that's the most important thing there is. And you'll be surprised that these guys will be able to make it work. Not all of them will be able to make it work, but some of them will still pay. And so that if you're thinking that your niche doesn't have the money, I mean, they will do it. I mean, I've seen countless examples, so don't worry about that. I'll give it back to you guys now.
Sure. So I've got one, this is a good one here from Prabjeet Kundi. Hi all, my niche is osteopaths and health practitioners in sports injury, get more clients via digital marketing. Looks like you're doing some SEO as well, and you're thinking that your clients would want this as well, and you can sell it as a package deal. As SEO pricing varies by keywords, how do I craft the right price for the work, ensuring we get a fair price and the client would pay? So I'm going to answer that first. It's like a two-part question here. So this is a good question, and I really learned this from Sam, because when we first start off, if we're in the the tactical digital marketing stuff, you know, the SEOs and the AdWords, you know, we think we would want to sell by keyword. We want to sell by, you know, how many ads I'm going to make for you, how much copy, which is, you know, the advertisement. Oh, I'll write you 10 ads, I'll write you 20 ads. And if I'm doing landing pages, I'll split test, you know, 4 landing pages for you. What all of that is the like features of the product. And regardless of whether you're dealing with, you know, you're talking about sports, you know, practitioners here, or another business owner, or whoever, they don't care about keywords, or if you're going to make 10 ads or 15 ads. They really don't care about that. What they care about is the outcome that you're going to deliver. So what I would recommend is when you're talking about this offering, so the offering of SEO, you want to make sure you phrase it in a way where you're not explaining, I'm going to do this many keywords, I'm going to do this many landing pages, so on, because you're talking about features and it'll trigger, like Sam talks about in the sales training, the wrong feature brain, and it'll get them focused on the features of your product instead of the outcome that it's going to deliver. So you would want to talk about, for example, so, you know, my name is Prabjeet, and I help sports practitioners get more high-value clients with digital marketing, and specifically I use SEO to pull in potential clients who are in extreme pain and help you get a consistent new flow of clients towards your business every single day. So that's kind of like an example of how to phrase it, as opposed to, I help sports practitioners with SEO, and for you, I'll do 10 landing pages, 5 ads, and I'll split test to get you a 21% opt-in rate. So I hope you can maybe see like the contrast there of like what the difference is. They want to know about the outcome. When you explain, you keep their brain focused on the outcome, you'll get a much better result.
Cool. There's another question here. There's been a lot of questions about niches. You know, how narrow should I get? You know, what should I do? Daniel Deal has a question here. My niche is getting dentists new patients with digital marketing. Should I narrow it down further? So dentists are certainly a niche, but you know, niching can get very, very specific. So every dentist tends to have different types of specialties that they might have. So they can have cosmetic procedures, they can have extraction procedures. There's a whole number of different subspecialties of dentistry. And so a general dentist, very much like the example Sam gave, is going to have certain procedures that are more valuable than others. So when you're working with a dentist, what I would try to specialize in is getting them a certain type of client. So it could be something like dental implant clients. So you could say, you know, I want to work with I will help dentists get more dental implant clients. And dental implants are a very, very costly procedure that's very profitable for that dentist. And so they're going to be much more likely to want to get that, as opposed to being very, very broad in general. So you could work with dentists in general and just help them get new patients in general, like general family dentistry ones. But what you want to look for, I think, in any niche is ones where the customer receives a very, very high value from the transformation or the service you provide. And so the more money involved in the transaction, so for dental implants or for Invisalign, they're going to make a lot of money on that transaction. The more money involved, the more profitable that niche can be for you, as opposed to saying, you know, I'm going to get you a general dentist patient, which might only be worth a couple $100s to them, as opposed to thousands.
Sweet. So I'm just browsing some more here. This is a good one, good sales one here from Zain Ul Abedin. I probably mispronounced that terribly. I apologize in advance if I did. And his question is about direct outreach for sales. So how do you overcome objections like if they say, well, you approached me? And what you want to, so how this works here is it's all about like the conversation dynamics, right? And if you go in the training, into the sales training part of it, you want to make sure if you're talking to a potential client here, you're doing a strategy session with them, you need to get the leading role of the conversation right off the bat. So I think this is what you're talking about here, so I'm going to go down this path. What you'll find, if you can't get the leading role in a sales conversation, then it's not going to close, because they're not going to respect you enough as the expert. So how we say this in the script is, I mean, it starts with the very first part of it. You know, you build a little bit of rapport, and then you'll say, all right, well, we can dive right in and get started with this conversation if you want. And right away, you're giving, like, you own the dynamics of it. You have to control it. And if they're not going to be agreeable with how you know, the conversation is going to go, and it's going to go on your terms, or you're not going to have it, because otherwise it won't close. So I would recommend go check out the sales training, where it's much more in depth. But you want to make sure you have the leading role. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think part of what it was also talking about, some similar questions have been, you know, how do you position that sales conversation when you're doing direct outreach? Because a lot of you are going to be doing that. Well, direct outreach is not about, it's not about you then calling them and trying to sell them like a cold call. Direct outreach should be done in a way, and Sam's going to release training on this, in that it positions you as having something that is of value to them. So what we're doing with Facebook ads is all we're doing is we're putting a message out there to people and having people raise their hand that they're interested in what you have to offer. So if it's, you know, are you looking for more, you know, members for your local gym? You're putting that in front of an audience of people who, if they are interested in that, they click your ad and they go through a process of progressing through that funnel. So direct outreach works very similarly. The difference is, instead of using paid ads to get yourself in front of people, you're using direct outreach. And through that, you can be more personalized. But you're still doing the same fundamental, which is you're trying to see if they are interested in what you have to offer, or having a conversation. And from there, you have them pick a time to speak with you. And from there, the conversation will turn into the exact same conversation you'd have if they booked a call with you through a Facebook ad, or if it happened through direct outreach. So that can help with that. Another question I'm seeing here from Devij, I think that's how you say your name. Apologize if I got it wrong. You're asking about a typical setup with Facebook advertising services for your clients. So that is, there's a number of different ways to do that. So one of the things that is most common, without getting into too much detail, is you've got somebody who basically, you know, agrees to pay you a retainer, you know, which is either a fixed amount or a certain amount that is based upon the amount of money that you're managing. And then you're basically charging them monthly to set up and manage their ads. And that's pretty much it at a high level. And Sam's going to be releasing more training on how you can offer these services to your clients. So I hope that answers your question. What else do you see, Jesse?
I mean, I'm seeing some Facebook. Got a couple Facebook questions here, so I'll take these. So Stephen Buller asking, why do some Facebook pages not show up in quiet interests? Do we have to make those in Facebook, or is there a way around this in quiet? So I've noticed that too. If certain pages are not large enough, they don't show up in quiet, but they show up in Facebook interests. So there isn't, and to answer your question, there isn't a hack around that as of right now. If you still want to target them, then what I would recommend is you go into the Power Editor in Facebook, and you make a specific ad set to go after that interest and do it that way instead of building it out in Quia, that would work. Second question here on Facebook ads. From Adam Hodera. I started my Facebook ad campaign today. All ads are approved. It's been 3 hours and I don't see any impressions reach clicks. Does Facebook take time to update? Is this normal? I targeted about 2 million people altogether with all the ads. The campaign is active and says all ads approved. So to answer your question, it does take a little bit of time to start getting impressions. But I would also want to make sure you did set up your campaign the right way. So the way you'd want to start off initially is having your campaign objective be conversions and having your bid set for impressions for conversions, and then also your bid going automatic instead of manual. Now, if you start to get up to sort of the 6, 7, 8 hours and you're not seeing any impressions, then potentially you're in a competitive market and you may need to switch your bid from automatic to manual, and then you'll see the price range for what Facebook thinks a conversion is worth to you based on what other advertisers are paying, and you need to make that bid more than the highest bid just to get the engine rolling and get it to start showing impressions. Likely you won't actually pay that conversion amount if it looks higher than what you'd be expecting, but it just does that to get your ad to the top of the pile and actually showing impressions. So that would be the first thing to look at if you're having trouble getting impressions on that. The last thing I would just say here, I targeted about 2 million people with all the ads. That's a good way to start off for sure. You want to be in the millions when you have the total amount of audience size. Just make sure that you do have it broken down by each interest is its own ad set. So this way you can see which ones are performing to the KPI, the statistic that you want, and which ones aren't. Because out of, let's say you have 15 or 20 audiences, I don't know how many you have, maybe you have 30, there's going to be a bunch that don't work, and if it's all in one pool, you're not going to know which ones are working, which ones aren't. So make sure you do have it split out by ad set, and it'll be very apparent which ones are working and which ones aren't.
Great advice. Someone's got a sales kind of question here, Joseph E. King, I think. So he says, hey man, in my calls, people don't like to give their personal information. They don't want to talk about their desires, and when I ask them what is wrong with their business, they say there's nothing wrong. So if this is what's happening, then it's very, very likely that the frame before you get on the call is not being set properly. So if you're getting on the call, like you're calling somebody up, and this is what you would expect to get, is they wouldn't give you your personal information, they wouldn't want to talk about any of their desires. So it's very important that the frame is set before the call, that they basically picked a time to speak with you, and that they know what they're going to talk about. If you get them on the call under false premises, or in a consultation under false premises, then that's going to backfire on you. The other reason why this type of thing is going to happen is if you don't really spend time on the rapport stage. So in the beginning of Sam's script, he talks about small talk and things like that, and that's a very, very, very critical piece of the sales conversations. You have to build rapport initially with your prospect, and if you don't have rapport, then they're not going to want to give you any personal information, and they're not going to want to tell you about the desires or things that are going wrong with your business. So the more you can develop rapport with them, and the more that you can frame the call before you get on, that they're very, very clear about what you're going to be covering and the value of what you're about to provide them on this call, then you're going to avoid and stop getting these types of responses and reactions.
Sweet. So we've got one here from James Perota. Any secrets, tips, tricks, etc. to Facebook ads copywriting? Good question, and listen up very closely for this one. This is huge. So if you're listening to this and you don't know what copywriting is, so it's essentially how to write in a way to your customer, prospective client, so forth, in a way that's appealing to them and would make them want to do business with you. That's sort of the rough way to describe it here. With Facebook ads, Facebook's a platform that's very social. So that's number one. You want to write your ads in a way that's not, you don't want to set off the sales alarm in their brain. So you want to, number one, talk about your ad copy needs to be in a way that's social, as if it would blend in with other posts. So there's two types of advertising. So there's traditional, like, direct response, where you write like to the customer, and then there's also native advertising. And native advertising, it doesn't look like an ad. It's not supposed to. It just looks like normal content. And those ones work better on Facebook because it is a social platform. The second thing I would say is that you may think you know what your prospective client wants, but you really don't until you go talk to them in real life. So if you shoot an email to 20 of your prospective clients, or you talk to 20 or 30 of your prospective clients, like Sam was saying with the hot water cylinder jobs for plumbers, you get that piece of intel from them that you never would have found had you not talked to them. And when you take that core thing that they really want, so for plumbers, for example, hot water cylinder jobs, and you use that in your Facebook ad. So for example, a Facebook ad that was like how to get 5 new hot water cylinder jobs in the next 7 days. And you put that in front of a plumber, the response on that is going to be really, really good, as opposed to just how to get more clients for plumbers. Because you're like speaking to exactly, like with super precision, what they want. What the deep desire is, what they want there, what the gap is, right? The gap is that they want more hot water cylinder clients. So to summarize, if you can talk to them, over email or on the telephone, in person, and find out what they really want in a normal conversation, and apply that to your online advertising, the results just really scale up.
Nice. So there's another question I've seen here, and this is one that I can see is some of you are seeing as a roadblock. So I think it's Ash Farker. Apologize if I butcher your name here. But you asked, you have a problem running your promotional strategies by organic posts. How can I post my success as well as my clients when I'm brand new to consulting? And since a lot of you are brand new, this is a common thing that I've been seeing. So when you're first starting out, if you don't have success things that you can post, then your number one objective should be to acquire that. And as Sam said, when you first started out, or if you had to start over again, the first thing you want to do is just start getting experience and work with someone for free in exchange for a testimonial. If you don't have money when you're starting out, you do have time, and now you're developing skills, and you put that time and those skills to work for a local business that fits the niche you're trying to get into. And then once you get them success, then you can actually start working on the organic and promotional strategies. But those things really only work well when you actually have things to share. And the best way to get things to share is to go out there, start getting your first few clients, start getting them results, and then start using that as part of your organic outreach that you use.
Sweet. So just browsing a couple more questions here. Michael Curse has a question on Facebook ads, so I'll cover that here. When changing an image to an ad, do I have to create and publish an entire new ad, or can I edit the ad that is already active? It's a good question, and the answer to it there is that you want to create a new ad. So never, is sort of a golden rule, never mess with anything that you've already published as far as changing the ad copy, changing the image, changing the landing page that your ad is going to, once you've already published the ad and it's going. Because when you tweak it like that, then sometimes it triggers Facebook to have to do a reapproval, or it also just messes with the algorithm of Facebook, because it's got this thing, it's in its state, it's humming along, and you change it, then it changes with Facebook, and the results that you were getting before you made the change may not be the same kind of results you get after, simply because you went in and edited it, even if it may be better copy or an image than what you had before. That's just how it behaves. So you definitely want to make a new ad, and you said here, if so, how? So you would just do a new ad set in your campaign, and you want to make sure that, so let's say you're targeting a specific interest and you've got a specific age range, right? Okay, so let's say 30 to 50, 30 years old to 50 years old. You're targeting a specific interest in the United States only. If you duplicate the ad set, so you have two ad sets that are targeting precisely the same audience, Facebook doesn't like that, and you're not allowed to do it. So what you need to do is change the age range 1 year. So let's say you were targeting 30 to 50 and you want to run a new ad, then you need to make the new ad set be the age range from 30 to 51. And then you can have the same ad copy, different image if you're trying a new image, and the same interest. But if you have the same audience duplicated in multiple ad sets, Facebook will penalize you heavily for doing that. So you definitely want to avoid that.
Great advice. There's actually two questions, kind of both on the VSL, that I'm going to answer here. One from Stephen Buller. Should I have background music in my VSL? I don't know about you, Sam, but I've done it both ways, and I haven't seen a huge difference either way. I don't think the music hurts. I think the music probably helps, but I wouldn't, if that's the only thing that you haven't done yet, I wouldn't not launch my campaign before that background music was done. What are your thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, I think we're talking about a small enough difference that most people probably won't notice it. I would say if you're pretty tech savvy and you can easily add it. But if it's already hard for you to make, and you're just thankful that you got it to the point where it's just recorded, don't stress about the music. It's not going to add enough to matter.
Mm-hmm. And then one of the other questions here from Jason Bartlett was on writing the script. And one of the things he asks is if we can explain why it needs to be so long. He says he specifically come across some VSLs that, are not great if they go beyond 5 minutes. It seems like they just want to keep you on the page rather than making a sale. So why do shorter VSL pitches not work?
I can explain that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, when we're writing a VSL, it's copywriting, and all copywriting is salesmanship in print. Now, that's all it is. And a lot of people, when they get started, they think that copywriting is this different science, and then sales is this other different science. And the truth is that they're both the same. Sales is sales, and then copy is just salesmanship in print. And I mean, if you imagine going up to a stranger and trying to convince them to become your client in 5 minutes, it's not going to happen. Like, you need time. You need to step people through different hoops before you can get them to make a decision. I mean, you guys saw the webinar that I used to get you into this program. I needed 2 hours. You need time to get people to do things. And the first time I did the webinar, it was like 3 hours, and I had to really work on cutting it down. And when I do a sales call, like a strategy session, I need at least 30, 45 minutes. And that's when you're good at it. When you start out, you need more like an hour. So that's why the VSL is longer. I mean, if we were selling something very if we were selling something very simple and very cheap, like if we were selling something which was only $20 or $15, it would be overkill to do a long VSL. But at the price points we're doing, we really do need the time. I think the shortest your VSL can possibly be is like 15 minutes. That's how I'd respond to that.
Yeah, that's definitely been my experience. What else are you seeing, Jesse?
Saw one here, couple short ones, so I'll take them. One was, do I need to have a website to get clients? And that one makes me smile a little bit. I would say you need first of all, do not stress about it. And Sam, how long did you have a one-page website for?
Up until like 1 year ago, I was making $1 million a year I was making $1 million a year with a one-page site. And it's not important. Like, everyone stresses out about it. I mean, my website's still pretty bad. There's different things on it that are broken. There's spelling mistakes. The copyright's like 2 years old, and it doesn't work on a mobile phone. And it cost me $300, and I designed it myself. So, it's still horrible, and the business is making quite a lot of money. What's quite funny is I've talked to a lot of people, and sometimes the people with the best looking websites are the most broke. And that's because their attention is on the wrong thing. Like, a lot of people think I need to get the best headshot. I need to hire a professional photographer. I need to get suited up. I need to get my hair looking good. I need to get a designer for my website. I need to update my LinkedIn and do all of this stuff. And that's all about you. That's all about you making yourself try look good. And like, the truth is that's the wrong thing to focus on. All my stuff's just very rough and has spelling mistakes and everything in it. And that's because all my attention is on my clients' results. And so that's what you want to put all your attention on. I mean, you should have a one-page website, which I recommend you buy yourname.com, like samovens.com, or if you decide to call your company a brand name like XYZ Marketing or XYZFitness.com, I recommend you get a domain and you put a one-page website up, which just says, this is what I do, here's how you can reach out. And that's all you need. Because you've got to control your focus. Like, where are you going to be putting your effort and where are you going to be putting your time? You want to be putting that into getting clients, making money, and getting your clients results.
Yeah, this was a huge shift for me starting out, was feeling like you need this giant checklist of things that have to be done before you can really go out and do everything. And you had this too, Sam, with some of your early businesses. It's like, you're getting the t-shirts, the mugs, all this stuff that doesn't even really matter when it comes to growing your business. The fundamental things are generating leads, selling those leads into new customers, and then delivering your service. And then the last part's, having an economic function in there where you can acquire those customers for less than, the amount of money that they pay you. That's it. And if it's not in one of those three categories, it's like a delay. You're delaying doing those three things that actually are going to grow your business. And if you just skip all the other stuff that all your competitors or other people in the space are doing and just focus on those three things, your business will grow.
Yep. It's like, just focus on the fundamentals. Like, that's the only things that matter. Like, what's your niche and offer? How are you promoting to get strategy sessions, and then are you doing the strategy sessions? I mean, those are the only three things you need to ask yourself. Is Niche an offer, promote to get appointments, and then do the appointments. That's it. And if you just focus on that, it's surprising how little you need of other stuff. Like, I still, to this day, I mean, my company this year will do easily more than $10 million, and I don't have a business card at all, not even stored anywhere. Like, I just don't, flat out don't have one. I don't have a letterhead with company branding on it or anything. Like, I've also never like hired a professional designer or photographer or anything to do my stuff. Like, and my company's gotten to more than 10 million a year. So that's evidence that you don't need all that stuff. And some people, they put all of that stuff before making money. They have the business card, the letterheads, the mug, the t-shirt. They even have a launch party. And, they've got all sorts of stuff going on. But no business, no clients, no money. Just, you want to focus on the fundamentals.
Yeah, great advice. I'm seeing a question here from Stephen Buller. How do we know what part of an ad isn't working? Images, angle, audience, etc. So there's a number of different things that are covered in the Facebook ad training, and there's some really good stuff in the troubleshooting section. But one of the biggest impacts on how effective your ad is can be the image. It's really matters about 80% of how effective the ad is. But if your angle is wrong and the audience is wrong, it's also not going to work. So it's important, and the process that we outline covers how you can come up with some different angles to test, some different audiences to test, and then to select images to test. And then it's a matter of putting those out to 10 to 30 audiences, and then seeing which one gets any traction. And there usually is one or multiple ones that are getting traction. Then you at least nail down the audience. And from there, you can improve on the angle and the images and everything to go from there. But you just definitely have to make sure you have the right audience out of the gate, or it's not going to work.
Got an interesting one here from Laura Powell. What if the niche industries you have been in the most are not profitable industries to be in? For example, I've worked with nonprofits, e-commerce, real estate agent. What type of industries would you recommend? I've found challenges with some of these clients, and would it be okay to work with several industries instead of the niche until I figure out the right industry for me? Great question, because not all niches are created equal. And if you're in the position right now where you want to really get your first few clients and get established, up to maybe 5 or 10 clients, then having different ones is okay to start with. You can, if you're doing the digital marketing, it's as simple as I help small businesses with to get more clients with digital marketing. That would be your positioning statement. I help blank to blank by blank, which Sam covers in the training. And as you get more experience with the different ones, you'll find one that's a really good fit with you and the one that gets the best results from it. There'll be one or two maybe out of 5 to 10 that you love working with and they get great results and they're really happy. And then it's crystal clear that you want to cut off the fat of the other ones going forward and then just duplicate what's working. So if that niche, whatever that niche is, then you want to go out and get more clients just like them. And that's how you develop what Sam talks about is called a proof of concept, where once you're getting one client really sweet results and they're happy, then you can take that intellectual property or proven process that you have and do it again for a very similar type of client, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to write new copy from scratch. You don't have to test as much from scratch because you already have a proven process for a specific type of industry or professional that works. You just have to take it and copy and paste it over to new clients, and that's how you scale a done for you really fast.
I'm trying to find another one here. So this is one kind of about us from Roman here. Did Josh and Jesse do digital marketing and Facebook ads for their clients to grow their consulting business, or did they have their own products which they sold better thanks to Sam's training? Since Joshua and Sam and everyone have used direct mail, now with your new VSL Facebook training, how would you compare these two methods to getting new clients for your business? Also, if you use direct mail outreach, how do you adapt the sales script, which is here heavily towards the fact that a potential client found you? So yeah, this was somewhat covered earlier of when I mentioned positioning. You know, when you're doing direct mail and things like that, you want to position it as, you know, very, very similar to the video sales letter, and Sam's going to cover some of the methods that have worked well for direct mail, including some scripts and templates. But it's all about the positioning and getting it where even if you use direct outreach to get them, they're still responding to you in a way. So, you know, in a lot of ways you can think of Facebook ads is really just like direct mail. The only difference is we're using a digital platform to distribute a message. That's all it is. So direct mail is delivering a message to a person. Facebook is delivering a message to a person. What's great about Facebook is it gives us the ability to scale with a software interface. So there's no software interface to scale your direct mail. It's labor intensive, it's tedious, there's other things like that. But when you're starting out, that's a great way to get started, because if you don't have, you know, a budget that you want to invest in Facebook ads, or you don't have a proven offer yet, or you don't have a lot of clients, you can go broader with direct mail and start to pick up your first few clients. And then Facebook will let you scale that and build on the success you have there and grow the business beyond that.
Yeah, direct mail is it's an awesome place to start because it's so simple. Like when we talk a bit about Facebook ads in here, and as you can probably tell already, it's a little bit confusing unless you've got up to that part of the training. The cool thing about direct mail is it's just so simple. We find out who we want to target, we find out what their address is, and then we use a template, which I provide you with. You print it out with your home printer, and you just send it to them. And I grew my business up big on lump email alone. I think I got it to 1.2 million just on lump email alone, which is pretty impressive. And it works really well. Facebook so it works better in my opinion, and Facebook is less manual work. Like with lump email, you got to actually stuff envelopes and send stuff out. With Facebook, it's all automated and it's all digital. So I recommend starting out with direct mail because it's cheap, it's simple. You get your first few clients, and then once you've got revenue from those clients, then you can start investing some of that money into Facebook ads. And both Jesse and Joshua, they started out and still do like consulting, like helping businesses, like helping clients. They're transitioning now into a little bit of coaching as well. You'll probably notice like all of my students, they follow a similar path. Like you start out with consulting and doing done for you, and then you kind of graduate through and then eventually end up doing some coaching. And there's a very good reason why that happens. And I created a training on it. Let's see if I can find it. This is all the new stuff. This is all the new stuff that's coming out. Where is it? And it's, you know, there's basically, these are like, this is new training which is going to be coming out to you guys in the next few days. So, you know, this is just a preview of it. But I talk about the different services you can offer. So when it comes to helping your client bridge this gap, there's lots of different ways to help them do that. And the different ways are, done for you, which is where you actually do it for them, actually doing the service yourself. Then you've got done with you, which is when the client does some and you do some. And then there's one-on-one coaching. And coaching is when you advise them on what they should do and then they do it themselves. And then you've got group coaching, which is where you advise them on what to do, they do it themselves, but instead of doing it one-on-one, you do it in a group. And then you've got online training programs, and this is like what Accelerator is. And this is, a do-it-yourself online training, which shows you what to do. Now, this is the path. Now, you want to start with the one which is most desirable, which is this. So there's a ladder of demand, and what I mean by this is which one is in most demand. It's always done for you. You want to start with done for you. This is where everyone starts. There's no better way to sharpen your skills. There's no better way to get started than done for you. So I got started there. Josh and Jesse did. Pretty much everyone in the world does. I mean, every expert in the world starts with done for you. Even Warren Buffett and them, they started with done for you. There's no way to be an expert at what you do than by starting here. And so what you do is you start there and then you move through the stages. And the typical sort of journey, it looks like this. It's like this is most people start out being a generalist consultant doing done for you, and they're solving all sorts of different problems and working with all sorts of different niches. Then they figure out a niche, and then they're still doing done for you, but they're in a niche now, and they start making some more money and they get better. Then they start mastering that niche, and they're still doing done for you. They start making more money, and then they reach a level of mastery which I call like proof of concept, and I'll talk a lot about that later in the program. It's super powerful, not something you really need to worry about right now. And then once you've developed that, you can then go on to one-on-one coaching and then group coaching and then online training programs. Now, this is still consulting. Every single one of these is consulting, and here's why. All of these are addressing the same problem and aiding the same transformation, simply different levels of distribution. So, I've worked through all of these levels, and the whole time you're solving the same problem, you're working with the same niche. And this is the path of every consultant. You start out with done for you, then I'm helping you guys start here and quickly get to here. That's what this program's all about. Most people get stuck here, but I help you really start here and pick up into proof of concept. That's what this is about. But a lot of people think that there's a difference between coaches and consultants and done for you and all of these different things. You're solving the same problem. You just can't sell these higher end things until you've really mastered what you're doing. And the only way to gain mastery is by starting here. That's why we say to start with done for you. And this is the new training which is being rolled out over the next few days. So I spent a lot of time on this, like multiple weeks, creating all of this stuff for you guys. So it's going to be really good. I can't wait to share that. So does that help you guys understand how you go from doing done for you and then graduating all the way up to like coaching and stuff? Cool. Because when I got started, I always wondered, I was like, how do you actually get through to those stages? Like, that's how you do it. Beachbody, which is one of the biggest information products in the world, they sell like $890 million worth of their training program every year, which is a lot of money. The person who created that, guess how they got started? As like a personal trainer doing done for you, like one-on-one. Like that's how you learn what to do. and then you get good at it, and you get better at it and better at it, and then you start coaching it, then you start coaching it to groups, then the groups get bigger, and then you turn it into an online training, and then that's when you can really start scaling it. But in every instance, that's how you get started.
I think to tack on to that, I think a lot of the market out there tries to teach you how to just skip to the very last stage, how to basically sell an information product. And that's why the internet is littered with the bodies of failed internet information businesses.
Yeah, most people try and create an info product and then they wonder why no one sells it. Or worse, people actually buy it and then it doesn't work. Like, that's the worst. And the truth is you can't sell one until you've mastered it. And to gain mastery, you have to go through the stages. And so, that's the path I've got trainings which show you how to go all the way to that last stage. The whole path is mapped out ahead of you. From starting from zero into the 10 million dollar plus mark. So you just got to look at the path ahead and then just focus on where you're at right now.
See a good question here from Nick Pacey. Hello, just got my first client that he's going to be doing Facebook ads for. That's awesome, dude. Congratulations on that. Do I need to go through the week 5 setting up the foundations video for each client, e.g. buy them likes, WordPress site, and so on? So what I would say here about this when it comes to there's a difference between doing Facebook ads for yourself and between doing Facebook ads for clients in a done-for-you type environment. So when it comes to doing them for yourself, you don't want to skip any steps at all, and you want to become an absolute master of it and do all of the the testing and go through the foundations and so on. When it comes to doing it for clients, Sam talks about in his trainings a concept called, it comes from software, but so they have something called a minimum viable product, where how can you build a software product that gets the result achieved with the smallest amount of features possible. And so Sam has published what's called minimum viable service, how you can offer your service and get the client the result without having to go to the 9 and just put in so much time that the client doesn't even appreciate it and you can't get paid for it anyway. So there's a balance. Essentially what you want to focus on is whatever that core, it's not just about the Facebook ads. What result are you getting for them? So I don't know from your question here, but if you're generating them leads, for example, for whatever business, let's just say it's done for you Facebook for a business to generate leads. Then once you launch a campaign and you get it working and you're getting that outcome, right, where they're getting the high value leads, the specific amount they need per day, per week, and they're converting them on the sales side into clients, then you've done your job. So you don't need to go and do 10 other campaigns for different objectives because you're getting the result that they desire. And you don't need to go above that because they're not going to see any additional value from it, and you're not going to get paid additional on top of it, if that makes sense. So it's a way for you to maximize your efforts and get paid for it's about the core value of what you bring. If the end result that they really want is 5 leads a day, once you deliver that and that's what you're getting paid for, and you're not going to get paid more for that from that specific client, then just there you go. That's the gap, right? The gap is to go from 0 leads a day to 5 leads a day for that business. Once you've closed that gap and you're consistently closing it, then you take that process that's working and you would apply it to a new company and just close that gap for them as well.
See a question here from Jamal Blair. He's saying, how do you go about interviewing managers? I'm having trouble getting to interview luxury hotel managers to find out what they want. It seems like they're all busy or don't answer their emails. What do you suggest I do? So this is something that, Sam, feel free to chime in. I think it's important that when you pick a niche, it's a niche that you can have an accelerated sales process. So the sales methods that we teach are designed to be done on one phone call. And the reason we do that is because otherwise you're going to have a giant pipeline with 1 million people you're following up with. And it's important to be in a niche where you can talk with a decision maker who, if they are not an owner, they have the ability to make a decision the first time you talk with them. And that's such a critical piece of this business model. If you don't have that, it makes it very, very difficult. So I would say that I would avoid a niche where you can't talk to an owner. And so to me, I would not target luxury hotel managers out of the get-go, just because that's going to be a very, very hard niche to have a sales process that's brief. And there's going to be a lot of different levels of approval and things that have to be done by that manager to probably consider hiring you. But I'm curious to hear some of your thoughts, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is you'll find that everyone's too busy, right? Most people don't have time, but everyone will make time when something is important enough. So it's not that you're trying to find a niche who has time, because everyone will tell you they don't have time. And it's like time, whether someone has time or not, it doesn't mean literally like I don't have time. It means that I don't see talking to you as a priority. And if Obama's probably like one of the busiest dudes in the world, but if something's a high enough priority, his schedule gets wiped and he's on a plane. And it's the same like that for everyone. So that's why you want to solve a problem that's painful. Because regardless of who you're talking to, how busy they are, if what you're talking about is important enough and on their radar, they'll talk. And so that's what I recommend. Patrick Clifford says, is the Facebook training good enough for us to be able to deliver Facebook advertising for our clients? Yeah, it's almost too much, to be honest, like for your clients. Like if you did what I told you in there for your clients, like you're light years ahead of everyone else out there in the marketplace. There's really no one who will do that level of Facebook training for less than 10 grand a month. And I know because I've paid people more than that. And so like that Facebook training is pretty much as good as it gets. And it's more than enough. And you actually don't want to do that much for your clients. Like you want to actually dumb down the service a little bit to make it easier. And hand it back to you guys now if you want to do some more.
So another question here that I'm seeing from Joseph Ecking, this is one we kind of already addressed, is on the strategy sessions, the prospect doesn't want to release emotions and reasons why they want more money. And again, you're going to continue to run into this issue if you are not building rapport on the call. So there's a difference between reading a script and going through a process with somebody. So if all you do is you read the script, then you're going to run into trouble, because the script is not about the questions. It's about the order, the sequence, and why you do it. Tone, pace, all these things have a huge impact on the script. You can read those words, but you can say it in a way that's, sounds weird, or you can say it too fast, or any number of different things. So the script alone is not enough. That's a good framework, but you have to go through the different stages of it and create rapport. And if you find out that they don't want to tell you the reasons why they want more money, it's because you kind of skipped a stage there. So it's important that you stay in the stages of the script until you've actually really gone through them. So if I'm looking at them right here, stage 1, the small chat for 2 to 3 minutes. It's important that you're building some initial rapport. Then you're going in, you're stating the agenda, and you're taking the lead. You need to be in that alpha role. If you're not doing that from the get-go and they're pushing back, then they're going to fight with you the whole call. So if they're not answering their questions from the get-go and they don't basically say, okay, I understand, you're going to walk me through a process and I'm going to go through it with you, then it's just a waste of time. That's where then you go through, you figure out where they are, understand their current situation, gather the essential data about where they are and cause self-inflicted pain, figure out what they want, and you go through all these stages of it. And if you do that, then you're going to get answers to the questions. But if you just read the words, it's not the same thing as going through a process and making sure that you're actually accomplishing what you're trying to do. So that's an important thing, is look at the bigger picture of what you're trying to accomplish, not just saying the words. And then you're going to avoid situations like that.
And who asked that question? What was his name?
Joseph Ecking.
How many of them have you done, man? Like, how many strategy sessions have you done so far? Like, what's the number? You can write in the questions. Yeah, 5. Yeah, man. Anyone's gonna be like screw it up a bit on their first 5. Like everything takes practice. You'll get better at it, and you'll get less awkward about asking the questions. And what I find most of the time is that this is a big one, and this is a mindset one. So it's less about the words that you say, and it's more about what you're thinking in your own head. So whatever you're thinking in your own head, you'll have a way of creating that in the conversation that you have. Like if you're thinking, this guy is not going to tell me how much money he's making, and this guy's going to be cagey and all of this stuff. If you just think that as you're reading out the questions, like he'll behave like that. And so that's why it's not just the words that you're saying, it's what you're thinking as well. Like it has it's a lot to do with psychology and the tonality that you use and everything. And so it's really important for you to become confident with the script and become confident asking the question. I ask people, and there's no caginess at all about it, and I've asked more than 1,000. It's just practice and expecting it. I mean, a lot of people, when they get started, they believe that people don't talk about money, and because you've been conditioned by society that it's rude and awkward and not socially correct to talk about money, because normal employees, in their contracts from a normal job, employees are forbidden from even talking or disclosing about how much money they make. It's actually a term in every contract, because corporates don't want their employees saying how much money they're making, because then other people are going to want a raise, it's going to cause trouble and all sorts of stuff like that. So we're conditioned from a young age to never talk about money and how much we make. That's the employee mindset. But in business, everyone talks about how much they make. It's the only way to make more. If you can't disclose to someone what your current sales are, then they've got no idea to really know if they can help you or not. And you get used to it after a while. You understand after a while that everyone talks about money in business. And like it's a totally different thing. People are very cagey to disclose their salaries at their jobs, understandably. But in business, it's a whole different animal. And the more you adjust to that and the more you start to internalize that and build it into your belief system and everything, the easier it will get on the calls.
Yeah, you just got to practice. One of the things that I found to be helpful when I first started out was just finding somebody else who's, in the group and just doing some practice calls with them. Just role play, walk through, get comfortable doing it, practice your tone, practice your pace, practice what you're thinking when you ask those questions. And that's a great way to build up some experience without, doing it on your live prospects. So absolutely practice. Find somebody you can practice with in the group. There's lots of you guys in there, and that's a great way to help get yourself a little more familiar with the script and everything. And you really should read through these questions and read them out loud. One thing you don't want to do is get on a phone call, like your very first one, and then read through the script and never have actually said any of those questions out loud. You need to say those things out loud, get comfortable saying it, be comfortable hearing yourself say it, and ideally practice with somebody else. That's a great way to help get yourself up to speed faster.
Yeah, and record the calls. Like, recording is the best thing ever because you can go back and listen to that key point, and the best thing that ever happens is when you get your first sale and you recorded it and you're like, I want to listen to that again. What did I do? How did it work? And you pick up on these cool little sentences that you use, or this little analogy that you use, or this different example that you use. And once you find those little things that work, then you pull them out and you're like, I'm definitely using that analogy next time. And you'll probably find when I talk, I've got a lot of these different analogies which I just keep pulling out and these examples, and I repeat them a lot. And I've got like a little treasure chest of all of these different things that I've collected since I've been doing it. Because when I learn what works, I remember it and I repeat it. And so that's what you want to do. You want to record the calls. If you say something and it blows it, don't repeat it. If you say something and it goes well, make sure you remember to say it again. And that's really good advice for strategy sessions. And Jason's saying, will this replay be available? Yeah, all of these calls are being recorded. So we post the replay about an hour after the call ends in the Facebook group. Back to you guys. Are we almost near the end, or?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of questions that continually seem to come through. I don't think there's any way to do all of these in less than 6 hours. Some of them that I see in here are ones that I would honestly say the majority of these, 80%, are things that are going to be covered in new training that you're going to be releasing, Sam, in the next week or so. So a lot of questions about technical execution of done-for-you services, some Facebook technical questions, and honestly, guys, a lot of these questions in here that I'm seeing are ones that are answered in the training. So one of the things to do when you're going through these trainings is don't just watch the stuff once, because when you watch something 2, 3, 4 times, you start to absorb everything about it. So I would encourage you guys to make sure you're going through the training multiple times. It takes multiple iterations to really get mastery. Make sure you really not just hear what Sam's teaching you, but start to understand it. And we're happy, of course, to continue answering questions, but that's a lot of what you guys need has been covered and will be continued to be fleshed out where there's gaps on these calls and stuff.
Yeah, there's over the next 7 days, a lot of new stuff's being rolled out. Like some of the stuff I was showing you here, like the journey and the ladder of demand and all of this. Like, I've spent the past 2 weeks putting together all of this. There's a lot of updates coming, and so it'll just be released over the next 7 days, and then at a particular point, probably in about 7 days' time, the portal's being actually upgraded to this new one, which I've had developers building out, which is it's completely upgraded, and this one works on your mobile phone and everything, and you can mark all the lessons as done. So you can just click done, it ticks it off. You go to the next lesson, and it ticks it off, and you can work through. So this is going to be released soon too. So you guys are in for some pretty awesome updates over the next, and this one works on your mobile phone too, because a lot of people have been saying, oh, you can't watch the training on your mobile. Well, this one fully adapts, so you can do it all on your phone. So that's all coming out across the next 7 days. So can't wait to share all of that. This is this is definitely the best time to have joined this program. My stuff wasn't this good when you guys started, was it, Jesse and Josh?
Oh man, this is it's been a long road from what we originally had. It's it's dramatically different for sure.
I'm only just a little bit jealous of all of the people, on this call, and just the potency of what's being taught here is just it's fantastic, guys. It's just, if you follow the stuff, it works. There's no other way to say it.
Cool.
It's so refined. It is refined to an absolute level of like extreme mastery. That is where it is. It's so simple,
Thanks. Yo, there's been thousands of hours in here now. I was looking in rescue time. It's a thing that records how much time you've done. And I'm at like hours logged on my computer since I installed rescue time is like 17,000, which is quite, especially considering I didn't have rescue time installed the whole time. So it's a lot of times gone into making this, thinking about this and making it this clear and this concise. So it's a good time to be in the program, and over the next 7 days, all of that stuff's going to be updated. And then we're going to be rolling these calls every week. So Mondays at 7 and Fridays at 12, we're going to be doing calls just like this, and Jesse and Josh are going to be on here answering questions. And how was this call? Like, was this helpful for you guys? Awesome. Yeah, well, I think we had like 120 or 130 people on when we got started, and right now we're at 110. So that's for 2 hours. That's not much drop off. Awesome. Well, like I said at the beginning, on these calls we won't be able to answer all the questions. I mean, we block out 2 hours for these calls. But we can't really go over the 2 hours. We want to keep them, below that. So if your question wasn't answered here, you can ask it on the next call, or you can ask it in the Facebook group. Or if your question was to do with a customer support thing, you can ask it from the customer support team. So our next call is going to be on Monday at 7. We're not doing one on Friday this week. Our next one's Monday, and we'll be posting it. We'll be posting the recording in. If you go to the Facebook group, we'll be posting the recording in here. So you go to events, and then I'm going to add the link in here. So I'm going to edit this event and put the link to the recording in here. And so what you'll do is you'll just you'll click into events. The upcoming calls will be here, and you can join. And then to see the recordings, you'll have to click this and view past events, and you'll be able to find the recordings in there. So a real simple system to keep things like that. We're not going to be putting the recordings in the content portal, and that's just because it'll get out of hand. I mean, after we've been doing this for a few months, there's going to be way too many recordings, and we don't want to put all of that stuff in the portal. We want to keep the portal clean and just update the calls in here. So a couple of people said Monday's Memorial Day. I don't know about you, but as an entrepreneur, normal holidays don't even mean anything to me. Like, I don't even know what they are. So a lot of the time you'll notice that we still do things on those days. And are you guys fine on Monday, Jesse and Josh?
Oh yeah,
I've got the time blocked out. Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, Jesse's from Canada,
Yeah.
so I'm probably the most Memorial Day of the three of us
Oh,
celebrating
we just
person.
had a long weekend up here the past weekend, and the whole city vacated. I'm like, where are the entrepreneurs at? Seriously, let's get hustling.
Yeah, you normal. I mean, because you can choose any day to be your holiday when you're an entrepreneur. So when you get public holidays, you're like, meh. Um, so yeah, we'll be running this on Monday, and so we're going to wrap this call up, guys. And I'm probably going to jump on the first two or the first three of these calls and help out just to transition into Jesse and Josh handling the questions and just to make sure everything's running smoothly. And then from there, Jesse and Josh will handle these calls themselves. So that's how things are going to work. So thanks everyone for attending this call. We're going to wrap it up now. We'll post the recording in about 1 hour. And thanks everyone for attending, and looking forward to speaking with you on Monday and looking forward to seeing you in the group. Thanks.